All right, everybody. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon, The Blackest Heart, and The Lonesome Crown. And today we're going to be reviewing Deadhouse Gates by Steven Erikson. That's right, book number 2 in Malazan, Book of the Fallen. Now, I got to apologize to my main man out there from Mike's book reviews. I was ideally gonna follow along on his Discord with the rest of you all as you read Deadhouse Gates, but I fell behind. I've read this book twice before. This was my third reading. I guess I was just sort of procrastinating. But beyond that, but above and beyond all that, Discord as a website is just a shit mix of incoherent, nonsensical, not very intuitive. I mean, I can't fucking figure it out. That's what I'm trying to say. It's more of a me problem. I look at the Discord website and I don't know what the fuck is going on here. I don't know who's talking to who. I don't know what I'm clicking on. I don't know. There's no directions. There's no directions that come in with the site. And so I was just like, yeah, I was just like, I can't do it. I can't do Discord, people. Built up a rage inside of me because I would see I was getting notifications, but I didn't know where the notifications were coming from. They were just hitting the Discord. And anyway, let's leave that aside. I apologize to Mike's book reviews and everybody that was excited to have me there and follow along with the read along. I blew it because of my ineptitude with gadgets, electronics, and computer things. I am an old man, and I get easily confused. What did I think about Deadhouse Gates? You know, this book came out in 2000 in England. It came out in 2005 in the US. Book number 2 of the Malazan Book of the Fallen. We always judge the covers. The cover, I've got the hardcover here. The hardcover looks exactly the same as the, it's a good cover. In fact, I got every Malazan Book of the Fallen right there in hardcover. I've got them all in paperback in my closet. I got a closet full of paperbacks, people. So the cover gets an A+. They're always good covers. I've always enjoyed the Steven Erikson covers. The prologue, let's just get into it. This is full of maps. This has got a great character list. And when we talk about Malazan Book of the Fallen, we're just talking about books that will blow you away. And I remember when I met Steven Erikson the first time, and you know that I always talk about, whenever I meet my favorite authors, I always get them to sign their books to me. And I do have a first edition Gardens of the Moon signed to me by Steven Erikson because I met him a couple times at different Comic-Cons. But anyway, I remember when I first talked to him about this book, Gardens of the Moon. It was back in 2004, and Gardens of the Moon had just come out, and I had just read it, and I told him it was dynamite. And I said, man, do you got more stuff with, Apsalar and Crocus and the Assassins and all that? Because I loved that stuff. And he's like, man, just wait for it. Wait for it, dude. Wait for it. He's like, Deadhouse Gates is going to be your favorite book in the series. And it's coming out in a few, and I remember it did come out, and I loved it. I read it. I was like, God, he was right, man. This book, go watch my review of Gardens of the Moon, and you'll be like, man, when I read Gardens of the Moon, I feel like I'm standing in a fantasy tornado of just fantasy things just coming at me at 10,000 miles an hour all the time. And you just kind of gotta, oh my God, there's a Toto and there's Dorothy and there's a Tin Man. And you're just snatching it out of there, and you're trying to hold it and trying to keep track of it. And Deadhouse Gates ramps that up. It's like a hurricane, it's like a 10 on the hurricane scale. I don't know what hurricane scales are, folks. I know, but I bet if a 10, I bet the 10's bad. 10 has to be bad. I don't know how they rate hurricanes, tornadoes, and earthquakes, but I bet 10 is bad. And that's what you're dealing with Gardens of the Moon and Deadhouse Gates and the Malazan universe. It's just like Steven Erikson is a writing whirlwind, a writing hurricane, a writing tornado, a writing earthquake, just shoving it all in your face and hoping you can catch some of it. And all of it's dynamite. That's the thing, is you open up these books and just from the get-go, from the prologue of this book, and this is some writing advice for you guys that are writers. The prologue of this book, pay attention to the word choices that Stephen Erikson uses in the prologue. Just in the prologue, it's delicious writing. This writing is delicious. This writing is like eating, like whatever your most favorite dessert might be, times 10. Like dessert level, I mean, you know, we rated the hurricanes as 10s. Dessert, 10. 10 dessert. Pay attention to those word choices. God, I'm out of breath. I'm out of breath. I'm so excited about this book. I feel like I just climbed 10 stairs because that's about my limit. 10 is my limit in all things. Let's see. Where were we at? Pay attention to this guy's word choices just in the prologue. Just some of the stuff. Like he uses words like, you know, like avenue of souls, the thirsting hour, the seasons of rot. I mean, those just give us such a grim, dark flavor right there. Because if you know the scene I'm talking about, it's got like death and flies crawling all over things. And just, you know, pay attention to those word choices because it's so creepy. The way he sets up that scene is so creepy. And any writer willing to just put things like the servant of the hood or the lord of death or fly or describing every fly on a corpse, that's the writer. That's the kind of writer that I crave. That's the type of writer that I love. You know, if you can describe every fly crawling across a corpse and make it interesting, oh my gosh, that's what Stephen Erikson does in these Malazan books. Just from a simple writing standpoint, the guy is knocking it out of the park with every paragraph. And then we talk about the story itself. So let's get into the story itself. It continues on. This book takes place in time exactly alongside book number 3, Memories of Ice. It's a direct sequel to Gardens of the Moon. And it starts off where Gardens of the Moon left off. And we've got all of our different characters going all of their different directions, doing all sorts of different quests. And you just gotta follow on. You gotta buckle up. You gotta buckle into your seatbelt, and you just gotta follow for the ride. And I promise you, he takes you to places that you've never gone in a fantasy book. And you know, so I talked about when I first met him in 2004, when only this book had ever been published. I asked him about Apsalar and Crocus and the assassins and all that, and then we get it. This book is dripping with those, you know, they go off onto a convoluted quest. And if I was to describe this book in one word, it would be convoluted. I mean, it's like the Discord of fan. Okay, so the Malazan Book of the Fallen is like the Discord of fan. I mean, you know how we talked about at the beginning, how Discord just overwhelms me with how confusing it can be. The Malazan Book of the Fallen, for those not really willing to put in the effort, can confuse people as much as Discord confused me. So this is an acquired taste. And when I say that these assassins set out on a convoluted quest, I mean, and I say that if I had one word that could describe Malazan Book of the Fallen, it would be convoluted. Yes, I mean, they go on a convoluted quest of their own, which I dig, I love everything about it. Some of our other characters, like Felison, chooses a very dark path of survival, but by her own choice. And I will not spoil what dark path she takes, because it's very controversial, but it's a choice that she makes. And that's the thing is, you know, Stephen Erikson's sensitive to that, is like, you know, hey, this girl's doing things that, you know, probably are objectionable and controversial, but, you know, she made that choice. And you've got to respect the choice. And then we've got Coltane and his quest, where he's marching people out through this, you know, he's kind of like a Moses figure. and he's taking people on a journey across the desert, and he's let my people go, and I don't know how that song goes. Let my people go. What is that from? I know it's about Moses, though. And he's taking his people, but Coltrane is sort of like this Moses figure, and he takes his people across this. It's like this Trail of Tears, this Underground Railroad thing. This is if Larry McMurtry's Dead Man's Walk, whatever you want to call it. I think in here they call it the Chain of Dogs, but this long trek, and at the end of it, such heartbreak, and that's the thing is about this whole thing is the stuff that the stuff that between Icarium and Mappo and the shapeshifters that they fight, and then Felison and her group, and then the group of assassins, Crocus and Apsalar, who used to be Sorry. That's another thing. People switch names. That's another thing that is hard to grasp, is like, okay, Apsalar used to be Sorry, and I was like, I loved Sorry, but now she's not called Sorry anymore. And sometimes you really got to pay attention. This is an acquired taste, folks. This ain't for everybody. This is like stepping into a fantasy natural disaster and having to try to pick up the pieces. That's really what it is. We already talked about the tornadoes, the earthquakes. This is like fantasy stuff coming at you at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and it's like you're in a 10,000 mile an hour wind. Just your face is pulled back, and you're just like, this fantasy stuff is just hitting you, like hailstones. I am bad at metaphors, but I think you get the picture. This was, I think, of all of the Malazan books, this might be my favorite. God, but that one was so good too. And the 8 more, and then there's I don't know. I do know that I would most definitely give this a 9.5, 9.75, maybe even a 10 out of 10. Let's give it a 10 out of 10, just because that's been the theme of this book review. So 10 out of 10 for Deadhouse Gates. Dynamite.